Today's video is going to be about my first time that I had an astral projection or an out-of-body experience. And I would really like for people to put in the comment section their first out-of-body experience or just any kind of out-of-body experience or astral projection that they've personally had. I'd really like to read other people's experiences too. Now, what I did for my first time that I had the success was completely by accident, and I actually had not even heard of the term astral projection or out of the body, and if I had, it must have been from a movie or something that wasn't at all real. I maybe just heard it throughout television or just in the culture, but it was not anything that I even could say off the top of my head of like, oh, I know what that is. I had no idea at all. Now, I was very proficient with lucid dreaming. Now, my entire channel is about lucid dreaming and astral projection. So, if you're interested in those topics, go ahead, subscribe to the channel. You'll get more information that way. But to get back into my story here, I've done lucid dreaming techniques for quite some time now, for many years. And whenever I have a free day off of work, I do like to try to take a nap because I don't really get time to take a nap during the day. And so when I finally see that I have free time or I have a couple of days off maybe from work, I do like to capitalize, take naps, because for some reason, I'm sure there's a reason behind it, but I have found that whenever you take naps, it is very similar to kind of waking up in the middle of the night and trying to have these experiences like a wake back to bed method or any other lucid dreaming technique that talks about, interrupting your sleep cycles. This one, whenever I take naps during the middle of the day, I tend to have some of these experiences a little bit more easily. And I'm sure other people can say they have that too. When I have, friends that when they take a nap, they've even said that they've had a lucid dream before. And other times when they're going to bed, they haven't ever had one. It's only when they're taking a nap. Again, that's why I try to capitalize on my off days that maybe I'll just take a nap today. So I had a few days off of work and I was deciding that I wanted to take a nap, try to have a lucid dream while I was napping. And while I was doing a technique, construction was actually going on outside of my window, so it was very distracting. And I was trying to do the hypnagogic technique, and I was also kind of mixing it with the countdown, the count yourself to sleep technique. So I was just trying to count myself back to sleep, and I was trying to, pay attention to some of the images that were flashing in the eyes, and some of the little bright white lights that maybe will come across, the blackness. And I have videos on these techniques as well. And I was just doing that, trying to go to bed, but I could not focus enough to relax because the construction. And it was that really loud banging of them like drilling into something. And I actually was so annoyed, I just sat up. I was like, okay, I'd been in bed for maybe 5 minutes. So I'm just laying in bed, I'm trying to just do this. And I'm like, well, this is gonna be a waste of a nap. Why should I even try? So I sat up really quickly because I was really annoyed at the noise because it like kind of shook me. It was really loud. And as I sat up, I felt this really weird kind of floating, weightless sensation. I know it's very typical when people talk about an out-of-body experience, that vibrational state. That was the first time I had felt it, and it was very intense. And I was just sitting up, and I was feeling this really intense energy going from throughout my entire body. It was like almost like electrifying me, and it was not painful whatsoever. It felt very good. This is nothing to be scared about. This is a positive feeling. Now, it was vibrating. My whole body just felt this kind of mildly to mid-intense vibration, and it would build the more I relaxed, and it would kind of lessen the more that I would try to figure out what was going on. And again, I've had lucid dreams for years at this point, and I've never had this experience happen. So very weirdly, I'm a little bit cautious to say this, but the only thing that I thought was happening is when I let go of trying to see what was going on, I just remembered that these vibrations feel so good. I was like, I just want to stay I was like, whatever's happening, I have no idea what's happening, but somehow my body is feeling like electrified and it feels amazing. So I was like, I'm just going to go with this. And as I went with it, I started to float up to my ceiling. And when I opened my eyes, I was just literally like halfway in my room, almost all the way up to the ceiling, floating in my, out of body or in my astral body. And when I was floating there, I genuinely thought that I was getting like abducted by aliens or something. And again, that's just probably from all the movies I've seen and everything on that. But when I've never heard of this subject and I've lucid dreamt for years, and all of a sudden I knew that I was conscious. That's one of the biggest things that people talk about when they have a out of body experience, or even a near death experience. They say, this is something that's very real. This is different than a dream state. It's hard for them to try to get it into words sometimes, the reality or how real that experience really was. Now, that's kind of what I was getting at there. I had no kind of pre-knowledge of any of these states. I made a video a little bit ago that I'll link above about things to pay attention for when you're out of the body, or symptoms that you'll kind of want to pay attention for and use as a signpost that you're about to have an out of body experience. And I'll link a video above for that. But before I had this experience, I had no idea about these sensations. And not only did I feel the vibrations, but I felt that was a really loud kind of sound going on, almost like a whooshing as well. And so during that separation process, there was like this whooshing, a very quick movement of whooshing. And as I was floating up, I really started to panic, because I'm like, okay, I was just in my bed and I had not fallen asleep yet. What is going on? How am I floating in the middle of my room? Is this an alien abduction? I was freaking out, so I started to fight as hard as I could. I remember like throwing my fit, I was laying on my back, and how I was laying on my back, and I started just to try to wiggle my body as hard as I could, and I was trying to like even throw like punches to my left and right. I couldn't see it's not like I saw anything there. My eyes were open. I could see my entire room here. Everything was exactly how it was. But I could not get out of this kind of like, I could not really control what I was doing. I was just really trying to get free of this. And then instantly, and again, I'm up in the corner of my room now, just floating up to the ceiling. And I'm trying to hold on to the bed. I'm trying to like grab for the bed corner to pull myself down, kind of like when people hold on to the side of a wall in a movie and someone's pulling their legs. I was trying to hold on to the bed, and I didn't understand what was going on. And then I thought, okay, well, if somebody's in my room, I'm gonna go hide under the bed. And so immediately from the corner of my room where I was hovering at, I shot under my bed, and I woke up immediately. I just sat up in bed, and I just opened my eyes. I didn't even wake up. I just opened my eyes, and I was like, what just happened? How did this happen? And again, at this point, I was like freaking out, because I'm like, what is going on? How was I just floating? I was not dreaming. I know for a fact I wasn't. I've had countless lucid dreams. And so that is when I started to just heavy dive into research. And I'm sure if you're watching this video, you might have had a similar experience to where you just dive into the topic. And I really wondered that if I could do this just by chance or by accident, what happens when I actually put my intention and my desire to have these consciously? And that kind of started me on this entire journey. The fact that I did it on accident, and that just, to me implies that it is a natural process that you just have to try to learn and practice, pretty consistently. And it was really cool because I ended up finding Robert Monroe, the Monroe Institute, reading all the books, listening to tons of podcasts, just informing myself with as much knowledge as I possibly could on the subject. And, if you have any of these experiences that are similar, again, I'd love to hear about it in the comment section. And as always, remember, this shit is so easy, you can do it in your sleep.